The next generation of smart telescopes is here. A bigger sensor, a wide-angle camera, and redesigned optics. Meet the Seestar S50 Pro, the upgrade to the original S50. So, how big is the upgrade really, and how does it perform in everyday use? I've tested it extensively for over a month. Today, we're going to find out. Hi everyone, I'm Ethan, this is Rooftop Astronomy. At first glance, does it look familiar when you first see it? The S50 Pro is basically a chunkier S30 Pro. It weighs about 2.8 kilograms, only 1.15 kilos more. Unlike the sharp-edged S50, it's now round, chubby, and honestly rather cute. Still, this rounded body is best carried with both hands. Grabbing it one-handed could make you drop it, so please be careful. Overall, it's still about the size of the S50. With the included carbon fiber mini tripod, portability remains good. Better yet, the Pro finally eliminates Seestar's mechanical backlash. About time, here it is, fully set up. Which do you prefer, this rounded design or the original S50? Tell me in the comments. Let's get straight to the upgrades. Aperture stays at 50mm, but the S50's triplet apo becomes a 4-element apo. Focal length moves from 250 to 260mm. It also gains a 4K wide-angle camera, paired with its own half-inch sensor. To me, the main camera is the biggest upgrade. The S50 uses a 1/2.8-inch sensor, while the Pro gets a much larger half-inch sensor. So what do these upgrades actually change in real-world use, and how much do they really matter? First, you get more ways to shoot. Besides the telephoto view, the wide-angle camera adds a true starfield mode. At night, it captures the Milky Way and wide-field stars, and when you need more sky, it can automatically stitch an even wider image into a single frame. Daytime performance is good too. I took these photos from my balcony at home. The wide-angle camera also fixes a practical S50 problem. Its narrow view makes distant daytime targets hard to locate. The Pro finds them with the wide camera, then points the telephoto lens directly at them. In practice, it's point and shoot, and much easier. Next, let's look at the main telephoto scope. I compared the S50 Pro, S50, and S30 Pro side by side. The clearest difference is the field of view. The Pro's focal length moves from 250 to 260mm, but because its sensor is much larger, the real-world field of view is far wider than the S50's. Here's how the three compare side by side. So the key telephoto upgrade isn't those extra 10mm of focal length, it's the much larger sensor. Now let's compare detail. In the same scene, you can see that the S50 Pro records noticeably more information. That said, the images from my test unit still need some improvement, especially in sharpening and color. I've already shared this feedback with the manufacturer. Hopefully, future software updates will improve both. I also shot city scenes at night. Here are several untouched clips for direct reference. It also supports automatic tracking. Box your subject and the telescope will follow it automatically. Here's what that looks like in practice. Now comes the main event, astrophotography. First, let's look at the moon. The S50 Pro has a 260mm focal length versus 250 on the S50. So the real-world difference here is pretty small. If you already own an S50 and mainly shoot the sun and moon, the upgrade is limited. And if you shoot the sun, always use the original solar filter. As for the other planets, honestly, a 50mm telescope just isn't really designed for planetary imaging. Deep sky imaging is a different story. Here, the gap from the S50 is obvious. To me, this is the S50 Pro's biggest improvement. First, Equatorial mode. With mechanical backlash nearly gone, 60-second exposures are reliable. In practice, at 60 seconds, stars remain stable and in-camera stacking stays highly successful. One small issue worth mentioning. If you are using a relatively large quick release plate, it may interfere with the rubber pads on the bottom. In this case, you must remove the bottom pads to avoid interference. Now, let's look at the images. Every photo here is an in-camera stack straight from the S50 Pro. I use no PixInsight, Photoshop, or other external software. Most were captured under Bortle 5 skies. First is C33 with only 28 minutes of exposure. The original S50 struggles to fit this whole section of the supernova remnant in one frame. The Pro's wider field captures it much more completely, and after just 28 minutes, the main structure is already very clear. Next is M27, the Dumbbell Nebula. The Pro handles smaller targets that challenge the S30 Pro. Total exposure was 30 minutes. Despite the 50mm aperture, plenty of faint internal nebulosity is visible with slightly more detail than I expected. This is the M16 Eagle Nebula, captured for 83 minutes under Bortle 8 city light pollution with the built-in filter. The pillars of creation are already obvious. This next version shows them after 93 minutes under Bortle 5 skies, again straight from the telescope. Compared with my S30 Pro and S50 results, this image gives a clear demonstration of the S50 Pro's resolving power. We also tried a longer exposure. This bubble nebula image used 324 minutes under Bortle 5 skies. You can see plenty of faint surrounding gas, individual stars in the distant cluster, and a very clear central bubble. Targets like this normally need much larger professional equipment to capture well. So for a compact 50mm smart telescope, the result is genuinely impressive to me. That's roughly the S50 Pro's current deep sky capability. And looking at the raw stacked image, the stars are generally nice and round. I think that leaves plenty of room for manual post-processing. Of course, the conditions for this test were far from perfect. Later, I'd like to send the telescope to a remote observatory with better skies and see what it can really do under excellent conditions. Yes, it supports remote control too. Now imagine dozens or even hundreds of S50 Pros imaging together at the observatory. That would be an absolutely spectacular sight. Finally, battery life. The upgraded endurance rating is impressive. Seestar claims up to 9 hours. Even without starting from a full charge, it completed a continuous 6-hour bubble nebula session without any trouble. At 1 target per hour, you could capture around 8 targets in a single night. That's pretty satisfying. Storage is 128 GB. With memory prices soaring, that's good news for buyers. The S50 Pro may look like an upgrade to the S50, but it's an entirely new product. You can toss it in the car for a road trip or a camping weekend. Then, on a clear night, you can come home with photos of objects tens of thousands of light years away or capture the Milky Way. When you really think about it, that's actually pretty romantic. That's my real-world experience after more than a month with the Seestar S50 Pro. Want another feature tested or a comparison with different gear? Let me know below in the comments. Thanks again for liking, subscribing, and commenting. I'm Ethan. See you in the next video. Bye for now.